Alright, people of the world. This is GTAraj and we're back again with Forza. No, not the bad Forza. I'm on about the actual good one. Forza's had many good games over the years. The one that we're playing tonight is the best one, the definitively best one. So, we're gonna be having ourselves a little bit of a hootenanny with it. Gonna be having some fun, having some good times, and me sending us some linky links. So, Forza, at least for me, has been one of the two active driving franchises that I have very much enjoyed playing over the past lifetime. So, yeah, here's the thing. Forza and Gran Turismo, I love them both to death. They're both just so good in their own right. For very different reasons. Why am I not getting sound from this motherfucker? Oh, yeah, it's just super low. No, don't do it with that. So Forza was the only real Gran Turismo competitor in my life. Like, yeah, we had Test Drive. What else do we have? God. The main races are... we start from the Mega Drive. It's Lotus Turbo Challenge. Test Drive on the PS1. Gran Turismo. And then moving forward to the PS2, we had Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which is an interesting racer in its own right. It's a very interesting racing game, which I have that somewhere. I have Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift somewhere on PS2. I might have to give it a crack at some point. I don't fucking know. But we have that. What are we in? We're in a D-Class DeLorean! We're doing Asian tour. No, we were doing another one. It's been a while, I've forgotten. Yeah, we're doing this. So, for me, at the very least, there's been many games that I've played that are just like there. So first one that really comes to mind is Juiced. But even then, Juiced is a Need for Speed clone. That was to compete with the street racing games like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, Need for Speed. That's the kind of realms that Juiced fell into. But racing games throughout my entire life, like F1 98 and all those kind of games, they were what Gran Turismo was up against. The Gran Turismo took what they had in the 3D space and revolutionized it. Forza kind of went further and further beyond, if that makes any sense. They added a lot more customization. Yeah, it was still limited, but it was there. You could do more customization overall in Forza. I've started off very wrong. You could do, starting from Forza 1, you could already do more customization than you could in Gran Turismo. Like, you could paint your car. You could paint your car. You could add body aerodynamics, or body add-ons to your car, like bumpers and hoops and all that kind of stuff. Forza, when it came out, was the right amount of Gran Turismo and the right amount of Need for Speed. Because if you think back to the classic Need for Speed Underground, which came out around the same time. I think Underground 2 was out when Forza 1 was out. Let me double check that. Let me double check that real quick. NFSU2. 2004. Let's see what Forza 1 is. No, not that Forza. Oh, fuck. 2005. So Need for Speed Underground 2 was already out. It had been out a year before this Motorsport 1 had come out. But then, Forza did this thing where they introduced Gran Turismo levels of tuning and track racing on top of the Need for Speed Underground levels of tuning or customization that you could get. And it was great. It is such a breath of fresh air. Oh, you... Which has led us to where we are now with Motorsport 4. Now obviously there's been a few more games plus a reboot since Motorsport 4. But like, I don't know what the hell to expect. I really don't. But when you get right down to it, this was such a large part as a PlayStation gamer of me enjoying this franchise for what it was at that time. Because I was a Gran Turismo main in Forza because I didn't have access to the latest and greatest at the time. 2005, I had an original Xbox. Well, I did it for a little while. 2007, 2000, just after GTA 4 came out, I had an Xbox 360. And on it, I was playing Forza Motorsport 1 and 2. That's what I was doing. I didn't have access to a PS2 until like 2009. And I had Need for Speed. No, wait a minute. I had a PS2 around 2007, 2008. But I also had a 360. My main consoles were PS2 and Xbox 360. And an Xbox original, but I never had that with me at the time. That was always kept elsewhere. But like, as someone in my situation, I just didn't have a PS3 until the hack happened. Until near enough the PSN go down happened. That's when I started getting into the PS stuff. Because I remember. When I was given a PS3 for Christmas, my first games were Saints Row 2, Saints Row 2, Assassin's Creed, the original, and my first ever Blu-ray was Hancock. But I couldn't watch a Blu-ray. There was no way I could watch a Blu-ray because at the time I was still rocking a CRT TV, and I was using composite. Now, if you try to watch a Blu-ray on PS3 over composite video, you get black and white, which is weird as fuck. You punk ass Mercedes. That'll teach you, bitch. But no, Forza is one of those games. It was my alternative to Gran Turismo when I wasn't able to get my hands on the latest and greatest from Gran Turismo because I didn't have up-to-date hardware. So back in my heyday of gaming, I had my 360. I was chilling with that. And I had my PS2. On the PS2 side of things, I was rocking Need for Speed Carbon with its input latency and frame pacing problems. Need for Speed Most Wanted, Gran Turismo 3, Gran Turismo 4. On the 360 side, I had Project Gotham Racing. I had Forza Motorsport 1, 2. Yeah, 1 and 2. I also had 3. 3 was fun, but the real uplifts and nicer vehicles from 4 just sold me on it. Because I was actively online with Motorsport 4. I was on those marketplaces, buying, selling cars, getting designs, putting out tunes and all that. But like, yeah. Out of all the games I've played, of all the racers, Forza has been one of the best. In fact, it's given me some of the best memories of online racing. Because I have played this with friends. Absolutely played this with a couple friends. Even with Horizon 1, I played that with some friends when that was new. I had that, I played that a little bit. I don't have that original save anymore. I did content on it. I did content on Horizon 1 years and years ago. Boy, get the fuck away from my drive lane, you fucking prissy prick nozzle. So yeah, I remember when the developers of the game were still actively racing in Motorsport 4. I remember you could win cars from. You could win unicorn cars. I have one of them. The only actual good one. Which is the top 300 Super. Did I inject unicorn cars into my save? Yes, I have done that. But as far as memory serves, I injected all of them into my save. But I did the research on it. I know that you could only get those cars either by hacking them into your save and then being a silly billy with them online, or racing with the developers. And they would hold frequent races where you could win a random unicorn car. Just for racing with them. It is shit like that that kept Forza 4 going for so long. These days you wouldn't even get that. Oh, you want a free cool car? Okay, go off and pay money for it on DLC. Like, yes, that was a prominent thing with Forza 4 as well. But you could still win things. It had and still has a good community behind it. This little bitch. Who's that? Art Brown. That Art Brown can fuck right off. Wait, how come he's not got an exclamation mark for his a warning for his left hand? That little bitch. My DeLorean is better than your fucking what are you driving? Lexus IS 300. My DeLorean is outpacing your Lexus, so there's no reason you're able to catch up so easily. So far, I've suffered no structural damage. Haha, we got a 4 on that one. There we are. We're a bit beaten up and battered, but that's fine. We're still outpacing that Lexus. That Lexus should have never been able to catch up as easily as it did. Let's see. Let's do an AI lap and see how the AI handles it. The thing is, Forza as a franchise has a lot of potential, but in order to screw something up like Forza, you'd have to sabotage it. You'd have to bring in a team that would be malicious. Because you have the fine tuning of the Gran Turismo franchise. You have gorgeous top of the line graphics first time. You have so much here. And then Horizon comes along, tries something new, and it actually kind of works. I dog on Horizon so much. I dog on it so much. With good reason. I love this franchise, and I hate to see what it has become with time. And with time, it has become a disaster. It has went from a labor of love and trying to change or take the franchise in a new direction, whilst also milking the hell out of the name and ruining what was making Forza fun in the first place. The racing aspect of it and the online community were the best parts of playing this game. When you finally entered into the full online era of this franchise, which was Forza Motorsport 2. Forza Motorsport, I believe, had online play. But like, when you got right down to it, you were playing that shit single player. You were playing that single player for the most part. It had an Xbox Live, but you were not using that. You were absolutely not using that. But the online part, the two most basic functions of Horizon, racing and online, and it's mucked up. Forza Horizon 1 was a great translation of the track or racetrack mechanics or track racing to open world. But as time went on, things surely and slowly got worse and worse for the franchise. Like, take Horizon 4 for example. You could do so much in Horizon 4, but it was also bogged down by so much. Like, I think it's the only Forza game that you cannot complete. It's the only Forza game that you legitimately cannot complete. Simply down to the fact that they integrated the game with Mixer, which was going to be Microsoft's answer to Twitch. But they never tried to foster a community with Mixer. All they did was throw names and money at it, and then it just died. I think about a year or something after it. A year or something after launch it, because they brought on Ninja and a couple other big names, and people moved over to watch them. But then things got worse and worse. People left and all that crap. So yeah, there's Mixer integration, so you cannot get those achievements. The painting and tuning system was tied to your auction house. So the higher your painting and tuning skill level, the higher you could set max bid outs for vehicles on the auction house. The auction house was such a good part of Forza, and now it's put on the back burner. I don't think anyone even actively uses the Horizon 5 auction house. I could be wrong, but I don't think anyone uses it. So I wouldn't be surprised if the auction house got removed in Horizon 6. What is that? A fucking Toyota? I messed that up. I messed that up big time. But no, like, Forza's just gotten worse and worse over the years. Like, we're at a point now where there's no AI in the game. The computer you race against is just programmed to go from A to B. And this one. I think in Motorsport 4 and Motorsport 3, they'll learn from you. Like, during a race, a driver will pick up on your habits and try to outmaneuver you, stuff like that. But I know for a fact in the second one, you could train drivatars. You could train racers. So basically what you would do, you'd bring on a driver, you'd have him watch you. Or you'd hire a driver, and then they'd watch you race, and then as you finished a race, they'd gain knowledge and experience just by watching you race. And it would get to a point where you could send out the racer to race for you instead of you doing the driving. So it was kind of interesting. I could have sworn it was in this, but it's not. So even over time, Motorsport got downgrades. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to grab Motorsport 5 and 6 and see how they fare in comparison to this. And see what the hell is up. Like I said, in Horizon 4, your painter and tuner levels were tied to your auction house shenanigans. So the higher those levels, the higher you could the higher your amount you could spend on stuff, or sell stuff, I should say. So like, let's say your painter or tuner level 1, the max you could sell a specific vehicle for would be like 100 grand. If you've maxed that out, you'd be able to sell that for full 99999 credits. The problem with that is, to increase your tuner and painter level, you'd have to make tunes. You'd have to make vinyls and all that, or designs and tunes that people would want to download. The problem there is you were getting like 100 XP per download. And it eventually got to a point where you needed 1,000 points, or 1,000 XP. You're having to crank out vinyls and all that like a crazy person. Yeah, I think level 1 to 2 was like 1,000. And it only went up from there, and you had to make you end up having to make over 100 designs and 100 different tunes just to max out your thing. Which was really terrible. It's a terrible way of doing it. And it shows that they didn't want you to level up those particular skills in order to potentially make bank in the auction house. Because that was a tactic that people would do back in the day, just to flex, mind you. So back in Motorsport 2, people just used to crank out these incredible designed cars. And at the end of it, they were selling them in the auction house for max price. But people couldn't afford them, which was hilarious. And then the working theory was they were putting them at max price to flex, not only on their tuning skills, but their design skills. So you had that. But overall, the things that made Forza good in the first place are no longer very good now in the current iteration of not only Motorsport, but Horizon. Horizon's been hit the hardest because it's evolved and gotten so many downgrades. Like Horizon 1, you were open world, but you were still closed off. It was open world, but also linear. You couldn't do that much exploring. You really couldn't. A lot of the places you wanted to go were fenced off or had invisible walls on them. And even then, the low frame rate of the game itself was just a little bit weird. Especially now on modern hardware, like on the Series X. You're still locked to the same frame rate as you were before. It is not smoother, not by a long shot. But one of the things that has gotten better over the years with Forza is its community. Community is fantastic. There's a lot of very good community-made content on Horizon 5 right now. It is super impressive. And there we go. Oh! I don't have too many memories of Motorsport 3. Motorsport 2, I spent a lot of time on that. It eventually devolved to people just jumping into online races and doing donuts on the track. No one was racing on that game anymore. But like I mentioned earlier, the basic fundamentals of Forza would be the online stuff and the actual racing. They've gotten so bad. Like I mentioned on almost every Forza stream, the AI, the computer, the brains of the players you're racing against when you're not playing online, they've gotten so bad. Because there was a point they were just really good. So in this, for example, they are good. They learn from you. That car that's right behind me, that black one, it's not a Lexus, it's not a Japanese brand. Yeah. That black car that's behind me, what is it? Race results. The Nissan Sentra. That was going to overtake me until I moved over a little bit, and then the racer put his brakes on. He applied them so he didn't crash into me. Racers will do that. They will not do that in Horizon. None of the Horizon games have that kind of a feature. If a racer wants passed in Horizon, they will just try and ram you off the road because they are scripted to go from point A to point B. There is no logic involved outside of braking and turning. They don't have any racing maneuvers. If you are driving at a certain speed and they're faster than you and they try to ram you, they will ram you. If they have, it's not a case of they have an option. It is scripted for them to go around that track or that circuit or whatever and do X and Y. They will not try to brake check you. They will not try to brake to stop them from crashing into you. They will do none of that. The AI that's in all the Forza Horizon games are not that smart. There's no logic to them. It's just go around the track. And I was, like I keep saying, I proved that on stream because we knocked someone into a house on Horizon 4. They did not try to get back on track. You could see the wheels, you could see the smoke. They were going forward. They were trying to go forward and they wouldn't stop. Plus, we were on that weird track at one point where you're jumping through crates or containers and there's a gap and cars were falling in between the gap. And you could see them. They were not applying brakes or anything. They were just they were trying to go forward. If you knock one of the Horizon AIs off the road, they're going to continue to go forward or try to go forward all the time. There's no reverse with them. There's nothing outside of braking and turning and acceleration. There's no logic. And then you have the online portion. Now granted, the online portion of Horizon actually isn't terrible. It really isn't. But with how forced it is now, I'm hard pressed to say it is terrible. Because for one, you have a great online community that's making good stuff, great designs, great tunes. They're continuing to do what that part of the community does best. Which is fantastic. The community stuff is amazing. But then, you have the software side of things with how the game is programmed. So you pop into Horizon 5 and you're just wanting to drive. Well, there's going to be obstacles in the way that you're forced to go through. So like drift zones, speed zones, Horizon Arcade, none of them are truly optional. You drive into one of them and it overwrites your markers. So if you have a waypoint put down and you go into a speed zone or a drift zone or whatever, it will overwrite your markers and it's very annoying. It's a minor nitpick, and I don't know if anyone really gets annoyed at that. I definitely do, because I don't want that crap happening. But Horizon Arcade is kind of the worst offender, because it's like, welcome to Horizon Arcade, you're now forced into this by default. So now you have to go through the menu and then sit through a bunch of screens just to get out of the fucking thing. In some regards, it is not online focused enough, and then in some regards, it's a little too online focused. Woohoo! There we go. We got 6 laps. I'll go into a few more things after this lap. Never mind, we're restarting because I'm going to crash and that's going to cause a lot of damage. And I'm not going to be able to drive this effectively. So, some smaller things that are just really bad about Forza, outside of the AI. At least in Horizon 5 and 4. The auction house is one of them. The auction house is heading away, and it's far less appealing than it used to be. Like, in general, you'd have a whole online tab, and it'd be like, here's your auction house. You go browse the auction house, and then you find a vehicle that you want. But with how the menu is being redesigned and just overall how it looks, it's a little bit blah. It's less appealing to go to the auction house. But they took away the dedicated stall for it, which is a weird thing to do. So in Horizon 1, there was a dedicated stall for auction house. You'd have your main circle where you go to your garage, you go to the tunes, paints, leaderboards, etc., etc. And there's a dedicated one for auction house. That kind of thing needs to be brought back. Auction house was such a good part of Horizon as a whole. And not even that, it's a great part of Forza as a whole. You earn a bunch of money, you go in the auction house, you buy your favorite car. And it was overall a great time. That is a white ass turn. I'm restarting. What else? The one thing that really gets me that's broken, and I don't really trust it, is the tuning stuff. Tuning is broken beyond belief. Like you move your slider for tire pressure to the right or the left by 1, and it massively changes your braking and stopping distance. For no reason, and it really shouldn't. Boy, I swear. Yeah, Horizon just has so much wrong with it in general. Like, it doesn't feel... When it comes to Horizon 5 specifically, I don't tend to race in that game anymore. I tend to actually avoid all that stuff. I prefer to put on some music and then just drive about. Because one thing that Forza's always done good is that it looks appealing and it looks amazing. Like even still, Motorsport 4 looks great still. This game still impresses the hell out of me. It always has and it always will. This game's great. These fucking cars, I swear to God. Just to be a dick. I'll commit a crime. Although in reality, they probably have a bit more torque than I do. And they can get out of this car properly. But no. Throughout his life cycle, if you were to play Forza Motorsport 1 through 4, you'd see a gradual uplift. Just in general. Every Forza game from 1 to 4 is better and better after the other. In either big ways or small ways. Then you go from 4 to the direct sequel, which is Horizon. Then you go Horizon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you play them. And you realize, what happened? What actually happened? Like, yeah, Horizon 4 is shutting down. I don't know when the hell that shut. I don't know when that's getting sunsetted. But there was a massive discount on it. At some point, I think either this year or last year. These racers can't race! Get off of my track! I will sabotage the hell out of this race if I have to. Also, my gear ratio goes wrong. No, Horizon just does a lot of things really bad. It tries to be good, but ultimately it's just not. Like, yeah, it has visuals down to a T. Horizon always looks good. But the gameplay doesn't always match that, unfortunately. Not again, you fucking slutbag. One thing that really does piss me off about Horizon, the Horizon part of Forza, is the reviews. When it comes to reviews, I tend to watch videos for them. Video reviews. And I watch them from people who know what they're talking about. As you're going out your way to read an IGN article, you're being fed misinformation. Especially when it comes to reviews. Because I went over this a few times on a stream. With an IGN review of Forza Horizon 5. To go out my way to prove a point that they're full of shit. And the review that was posted actually wasn't a review. It was an overview of the game. And what it came down to, what it literally came down to, and you can find this out by reading it, is it's just an overview of the game, talking about, oh, there's lots of cars, there's online, this game is big and beautiful. And it's like, huh? Okay. It's not a review. That is literally just an overview of the game. That is an overview. If you're gonna review a video game, this goes for anyone, you need to talk about the game itself. Like, okay, so there are story mode like quests where your character meets other characters and then you do quests for them, where you test out different things, you use different vehicles, and there's lore behind the characters. You mentioned that. You also mentioned specific events that can happen in the game. So, like, oh fuck, I forgot what they're called, because it's been a hot minute. I forgot what they're called. I remember the specific Halo Warhawk one. Forza Horizon 4 Warthog. Let's see. Played either Halo Master Chief Collection or Halo 5 Guardian Supreme. Okay. It's a Forzathon event. It's one of the showcase. That's what it is. You would want to mention showcase events. The IGN review that I read on Horizon 5 didn't mention that. Can I still pull that up? Forza Horizon 5 review IGN. As Forza Horizon 5 crosses the finish line, the bar for open world racing has again been raised in so many different ways. A map of Mexico that is bigger, higher, and wildly more varied than any Horizon game yet. Which is kind of inaccurate because I noticed that some track layouts were reused from 4. To understand just how big Horizon 5 is, we have to briefly look back at Horizon 4. We don't need to do that. It's all this and a remarkable amount more. And then they link to their video review of Horizon 4. Mexico pretty. Mexico feels noticeably more extensive than Playground's remarkable 2016 riff on Australia. It's a killer display of immense draw distance. There have been so many other improvements to the Horizon formula, it's hard to know where to begin. A rethinking how career mode unfolds has seen Playground add a new point system that allows you to take charge of what event hubs and special races you want to prioritize unlocking. Yes and no. It's following the same formula as the other ones. You go from point A to point B unlocking outposts. One expedition has you racing through trees as lightning strikes the ground ahead. Okay, what else? Horizon Arcade functions similarly to Forzathon Live, but there's a greater variety of events. Okay. Verdict. And I'm gonna read this verbatim. I'm gonna read it word for word. Forza Horizon 4. Now, keep in mind, I have skipped over a majority of it, but I've skipped over the parts that we already know. That Horizon Arcade functions similar to Forza. I don't need to explain that. One expedition has you racing through trees as lightning strikes ahead. There'd be some significant multiplayer massaging too. They don't even go into detail about some of the things that happen, like lightning striking the ground. It goes on to talk about multiplayer progress. There have been so many other improvements to the Horizon formula, it's hard to know where to begin. You're not talking about it. You make a point, but you're not talking about it. You could go from lightning strikes the ground, leading into, oh, there's also massive fucking sandstorms. There's lots of varied weather. Now, granted, Horizon 5 has improved weather a lot. But back to the verdict. Forza Horizon 5 is a deep and nuanced car nirvana for rev heads and auto geeks to endlessly collect, tinker, and experiment. It is also an extremely accessible buffet of racing It's also an extremely accessible buffet of racing spectacle open to everyone from deluxe edition diehards to Game Pass nomads. No matter their driving skill or mechanical knowledge, it is an occasionally goofy but always earnest valentine to Mexico's world-famous culture, and a romantic ode to the magic of road tripping through postcard-perfect vacation vistas. It's a long-haul, MMO-inspired racer that's exploding with more races, activities, and event types than can comfortably fit on some parts of the map, and yet it always feels relaxed rather than daunting. It never locks you into something you don't want to do. It actually does. It does often. Never locks you into anything you don't want to do, and steadily rewards you for however you choose to play it. It looks beautiful, sounds magnificent, and it is glorious to play. Yes, Forza Horizon 5 is a lot of things. Above all, however, it is the result of a racing studio at the peak of its craft and the best open world racing game I've ever played. Why would you end on an opinion piece? Your opinion shouldn't come out like that. So here's the thing. If you go through and read this, if you go through and read IGN's review of Forza Horizon 5, you will see, you should be able to pick up on some nuances that let you know that's a paid for review. There is not a bad thing to say. And they end it off with, it is great. They talk about all the most basic nonsense in that game. They don't, they mention career modes, but they don't go into detail. They don't go into detail like, oh, you play as a character that you make, and then you're meeting people, you're doing X, you're doing Y. They don't do that. They don't bother to review the game. It is a non-review. You know what? At some point, I might end up doing a fucking video on that. About how IGN's review is not really a review. What I have read to you and spoke to you about, that reeks of an overview. That is taking the game, looking at it, and telling you various aspects that even Helen Keller could see. Their biggest thing is that, oh, the game is in Mexico, it looks very nice, it's open world, has multiplayer, and it's for rev heads. They, even in their verdict reeks of just being an overview. If you want a review of a product, if you want a review of a video game, you go to someone like Metal Jesus Rocks, you go to Gamester81, some OGs, or even, oh, does Pete Dorr still do videos? Where's that man at? Where's Pete Dorr at? Oh shit, he streamed 3 days ago. Motherfuck. I've known about this guy for years. But no. He does all sorts of stuff. Oh, I don't want to play that. I don't want to run the risk of getting claimed or anything. But like, no. If you go to an independent reviewer, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get something genuine from them, unless they're some kind of fucking IGN type show. IGN has made some really bold things in the past. Like, they did I'm gonna bring this up because when you talk about IGN and their fuck ups, you always find a way to bring up Pokemon. How they reviewed Pokemon Sapphire and it was like, oh, Pokemon Sapphire has too much water. And it's like, what? You're telling me the water-themed version of Pokemon has too much water? I want some land. That's why you play Ruby. What are you gonna do? Complain that Ruby has too much land aspect? God. IGN has so many screw-ups under the belt. It's like, who do you reliably go to for reviews? Like, video game content is such a broad topic as a whole. So like, you want something dodgy and weird. Ashens has you covered on that aspect. At least Ashens from 15 years ago. You want facts, you have Guru Larry. You want product reviews, Metal Jesus, Gamester81, who off the top of my head do I remember? This is back from my heyday of watching gaming content. Oh god. Specifically gaming review stuff. I know Ashens has done some review things. Those are the 2 big ones off the top of my head. Metal Jesus and Gamester81. Gamester81 is how I got some information on my NetYurosy PS1. Because he did a video on it years ago, and I'm like, wait, I remember the advertisements for this. I want a NetYurosy PS1, but they were far too at my price range back in the day, so I could never get one until that painful eBay find. I'm like, I kind of want this. And now I have one. But no, for video game reviews, you should really not trust IGN. They're not a good source. They're not even a source. They had that Philip Muslin, who basically plagiarized his entire career. He couldn't even do that right. Because he took a basic bitch-ass template for a CV, a curriculum vitae, and just freaking botched it. And he lied about it. And then when he was doing an IGN review of one of the small indie game, he plagiarized a YouTuber's review of it. And it's like, okay, let me copy your homework. But okay, can I copy your homework? Sure, okay, but make sure it's not that obvious. But no, when it comes to things like Forza, it's something that you have to... You don't... For a big game like Forza, you never want to trust a huge outlet for reviews when it comes to big games like this. Most of them cannot be trusted. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be paid for reviews. When you're doing a review, it is also worth mentioning the issues that you found. That issue might be able to help the development team. That issue might also deter someone from playing the game. So like, okay, can I find a Forza review that actually talks about the game? I don't want AI fucking nonsense. Get out of here. Reviews on Metacritic. It's got a 92 and an 8.2. Jean Gamin. Oh, I can't read that. It's not. I wouldn't call that a Craig review, but like, good racing, weird style, speaks for itself. Graphics are great, yet it can work well on on lower systems. In the Czech Republic, the best arcade races nowadays, but it is becoming clear that it's getting harder and harder to move successful formula forward. That's one way of putting it. That's one way of putting it. That is, it's not a review though. History repeats itself as Playground Games once again delivers one of the best open world races you'll ever play. Okay, Gaming Bolt gave it 100. When the original Forza Horizon launched, it was supposed to be a neat little experimental spin-off leveraging the Forza brand to deliver a different kind of racing experience. That is correct. They wanted to go open world, and they did. And they did it very well back then. Excellent driving, stellar visuals, consistently fun and varied activities, and a large and beautiful open world serve as the foundations on which Playground Games' newest open world racer serves up what is probably the pinnacle of this franchise so far. I wouldn't say yes to that. I wouldn't say yes to that because just like a lot of games, the best parts of a game aren't necessarily the main portions of it. In the case of Horizon, I've already stated the community is one of the better parts of it. But one thing I have neglected to talk about is the expansions. The expansions are just incredible. Well, depending on which expansion you're playing. My expansions... I never got the original expansion for Horizon. That was out my price range when it came out. However, there's no way to obtain that anymore because the servers are down. You can't buy the Rally expansion, but it's Rally. No one cares. Horizon 2 and 3 are at my range, but Horizon 4 and 5, however, I have all the expansions for those. I haven't necessarily played them because 2 of them are boring as fuck. So when it comes to Horizon 4, the best expansion for that game is Lego. The Lego expansion, you go to the Lego world, you build Lego cars, you race Lego cars, and you do some neat stuff. The other one is, I forgot, it's like off-roading or something bullshit. Off-roading, it's off-roading in Horizon 5 as well. Off-roading for 2 games, and then there's also that fun one for Horizon 5, which is Hot Wheels. The most fun you will have in Horizon 4 and 5 is more than likely with the expansions. They're just fun, pure and simple. Let's see what else Gaming Bolt was saying. There's just so much to do, having a plethora of varied, excellent design, consistently enjoyable racing and driving activities. From regular races to street sprints through city streets, to grueling off-road events, to so much more, or such much more. To such much more? What? Huh? From regular races to street sprints through city streets, to grueling off-road events, to such much more. Verbatim. There's always a litany of different kinds of races to participate in, and in typical Forza Horizon fashion, courses for all of these races are consistently impressive, whether that's because of the tricky corners you're asked to pull, or the wide and long stretches you're allowed to speed up in, or the beautiful locales you can drive through, or a combination of all of the above. They drag on a little bit. Whether you're racing against a plane, or a jet ski, or on a... Why do they drag out the quotations so much? So the thing that we want to... This game is reviewed on the Series X, which is fine. The good, which is what we care about, the sections that say the good and the bad, because that lets you know if someone's actually played it and experienced a problem. Smart structure affords complete freedom in progression. Not quite. Because to unlock more races, you have to go through the career stuff, and you also have to level up, so it's not quite freedom of progression. A plethora of excellently designed races and events, each contributing to meaningful progress, a gorgeous open world with tons of environmental diversity. Vehicles feel excellent to drive, yes. Impressive vehicle roster, very much so. And runs fantastic, spectacular audio design. Ha. Final verdict, masterpiece. Final verdict, masterpiece. Forza Horizon 5 is the pinnacle of Playground Games' open world racing series, and in turn one of the best racers you'll ever play. Part of that's plagiarized from other sources, but it's fine. The bad. Story missions can be a little bland and repetitive. That is all the story missions. The story missions are basically, you're given a car and you drive, and there may be an obstacle in the way, and the entire thing is to let you learn, or to have you learn about the characters that you're driving with, and a bit of their story. So, whilst I can agree on that, it's like, it serves a purpose though. Mohoy. Oh. Loading screen. Absolutely nails the driving experience. The world is great, the cars look and feel amazing, but then you get to the campaign and it's garbage. The way content is revealed is a mess, the story is pointless, and the characters are annoying as hell. Okay, I can actually, Ahmed Mohoy, I can partially agree with that, because I'm like, some of the characters are quite annoying. But the campaign is how you unlock stuff. The campaign isn't necessarily it sucks because it actually kind of is garbage, because it's like you're playing as a superhero, you're playing as a fucking badass super racer, and you're meant to be doing you're meant to be an absolute badass, and it's garbage. The way content is revealed is a mess. I forgot how content was revealed. God, because in Horizon 1 it made sense. The more you race and the more you level up, the more wristbands and more difficult races you'll be invited to. That's how that was revealed. Zoot up. Servers are crap. You lose progress in story mode way too... What? I hard disagree. The servers on... I don't really partake in the online side of things, so I can't say. You lose progress in story mode. No, you don't. Way too long loading screens. Loading screens are based on your hardware. So if you're complaining about loading screens for Forza, your loading times must be a little bit shit, or there's something wrong on your end. The only time I've had very few long loading screens in Horizon 5, simply down to the fact that it keeps popping up saying optimizing for your PC. When switching, and if you drive with the help systems off, you have a massive disadvantage during multiplayer. No, you don't. If you're having difficulty driving without the assists, then you need to learn to play the game more. The only assist I really have on in Horizon 5 is braking lane for corners, because I am shit as hell at that. But there's a bunch of people that really enjoy this. Nothing revolutionary in this Forza Horizon 5, but what a pleasure and generosity. There's no one really reviewing the game properly. Let's see The Verge. If anyone's in chat, I'll get around to you. Despite the name and hundreds of accurately modeled real-world cars, actually, onto that, some of the cars aren't modeled correctly. Like, with the DeLoreans, they're not modeled correctly. They're actually far from it. All they look like is moderate replicas. What are you mentioning? Forza Horizon 5 does do a better job of easing you into its mountain of content. It actually does. Yep. I know Forza Horizon 4 put you through its paces at the very beginning. And it's like, here's how to do off-roading. Come in a little hot during the review period and early access launch, I've noticed quite a few issues on various hardware. From graphical glitches to AI opponents that disappear completely. Interesting. Server access has been spotty and the PC version is almost unplayable for me due to my constant control and disconnection errors. But I wouldn't be happy about the server problems, in particular if I'd paid $100 for the premium version of the game that includes early access. Interesting! Okay, so The Verge actually brought up something good. Yeah. Wait, what? Two things immediately struck me. It doesn't look anywhere near as good as I remembered it. What? Wait a minute. I wouldn't normally spend as much time on the technical elements of a game when reviewing it, but I think it's more relevant with Forza Horizon 5 than most others. Last night, I fired up Horizon 3 for a couple of hours, which I previously thought of as my favorite game in the series. Two things immediately struck me. It doesn't look anywhere near as good as I remembered it. It's almost exactly the same game as Horizon 5, right down to the near identical UI. It is beyond its slight but welcome tweaks to the unlocking system. Forza Horizon 5 makes hardly any progress on its predecessors in terms of game design. It really is as if the previous couple of games just got airlifted to Mexico and received an extreme technical glow up. And honestly, I'm fine with that. The setting is everything in Forza Horizon. It's what dictates and defines the endless fire hose of races and championships. They brought up issues that I've never heard of in my life. But keeping in mind, I didn't get this game at launch. I absolutely did not. There was no way in hell I was doing that. But when you get right down to Horizon 5, like, Horizons always look beautiful. Horizon 4, for me personally, was just, it hits home, because it kind of takes place about 20, 30 miles away from me. But more than that, more to the point of that, Horizon 4 was great. Like, in terms of how it looked and how it played. For the most part. Like, obviously there's a lot of downgrades in terms of AI and all that crap. That goes without saying. That is the Horizon franchise in a nutshell. I forgot what course we're doing. Bear with me. I think it's Twin Ring. Is it Twin Ring? I might have forgotten. Oh, you harlot. But no, more to the point, the Forza as a franchise has gotten worse with time. The pinnacle of Forza was Forza 4. Right now, the pinnacle seems to be Horizon 5. And even then, the bar is set so low in general. From a gameplay standpoint, if you're playing it as a single player, the game itself is not very playable because its unlocked pathing is just dog shit. Because once again, your unlocks are determined by what difficulty you're playing on. So if you're playing on highly skilled, when you're done with a series, you'll unlock a vehicle, or you'll be given a vehicle to your garage. Which is kind of, it's in line with what Gran Turismo used to do. I don't know how it does it now. But you could complete a little series in Gran Turismo 2 and then you'd unlock a vehicle for it. And it was a great way if you were a skilled driver to gain free vehicles. Fuck that Nissan Sentra. I will happily crash into that driver for being a fucking dick. If I did that IRL and died from it, then it'd be that driver's fault for being a fucking dick about it. Twin Ring Motegi. No, one thing I do appreciate about Horizon 5 is the fact that you can unlock vehicles for free. I'll give them that. When you do a series, you unlock a vehicle. But it is difficult. It is tied to your difficulty. And that's even worse considering the game itself has no AI. And all the best vehicles are hidden behind playground game stuff. So if you want a really good car, you're forced to play it online. But then, if you don't play online, you don't have the opportunity to get the vehicle. So you're either stuck getting it from the backstage pass, not the backstage pass, yeah, the backstage pass, or paying auction house prices. Now, a lot of people just don't seem to care about the auction house in this day and age. I don't know how I genuinely don't know how it functions. I don't know what it's tied to anymore. That Nissan Sentra is pissing me off. Because it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be as quick as it is. The other cars aren't this quick. Not a fucking long shot. So they're doing close to 100 to have that lead up, which is very annoying on my end. Bema suspension. That is gay as hell. But no, like I've said, Horizon's just gotten so bad. Right now, I'm a single player gamer. If you see me on Horizon 5, I'm driving around. I don't give no fucks about playing that game online. I never have. If I do a community event, good. The community for Horizon 5 is great for the stuff they've come up with. But with all the issues that plagues that game in general, it is just genuinely not a good experience. From someone that has been playing the franchise for years on end and knows what the hell he's talking about when it comes to what makes that game great. Yeah, fuck that Sentra. Look how slow it is now compared to what I'm doing. This game has very good AI on it, but it's also rubber banding, which is why that fucker is so slow up there. So at some point that Sentra's going to catch up, but it's not naturally going to catch up. There we go, we're doing well. Woo-hoo. There we are. It's such a shame to see this franchise just fucking hit rock bottom. And I know the reboot of Motorsport has been played with problems as well. So it's like, it's modern gaming in a nutshell. They just can't seem to get it right. Woo! So I know for a fact, if they remaster this game, it would either go over so well with the community or it'd be such a fucking botch up. Yeah, look at that. He's not catching up. Normally he would. The only reason I have the braking line on is to see when to brake, not exactly where to brake. You know, like Horizon, it is broken to the point that if you want to play the game properly, you need multiplayer. And it should never have been that way. We're at a point with this franchise where it's so far focused up on Line's butthole. That's just not that good. Because here's the thing, they haven't put any attention and detail and care into the computer side of things. It's like, okay, take what we know, and put it in this one, and then run with it. But they've made a little tweak, or I'm going to say they made a little tweak. The AI isn't really as good as it should be. Like, in a world full of different racers, of different skill levels, they should have patterns and techniques on each level of difficulty that you have. So like tourist, as we've seen, that is really slow. They're all just, their foot is light on the accelerator. But as soon as you come off of the tourist difficulty, they're all zipping about. They're zipping, they're bopping, and there's even a little bit of rubber banding involved. But the funny part is, it's just not that good. Because every driver is going to drive in their car differently. They've not went through the effort of putting in the special touch that some drivers actually do. Fucking M. Ross, are you kidding? They've not put in the special touch that makes other drivers special. They'll take a corner a certain way. They've not done that. It's just straight A to B. But in something like this, in motorsport, at least this one anyway, the drivers are all a little bit special. I could have probably done a little bit of a better job in that corner. My brake! My front left brake! I think I'll do one more Motorsport Forestry before I go to England in a few weeks. Because I'm not going to have access to my Xbox or this game when I go down there. And the Switch is definitely not powerful enough to run 360 games. Switch can barely run. Yeah, you see that there, fucking M. Rossi and that, what's it, Cooper? Alfa Romeo Barrera. He slammed his brakes on so he wouldn't crash into me. That just straight up wouldn't happen in Horizon. If Horizon wants to be any good for the 6th installment, it has to include those kind of small touches that drivers really have. And it has to include little touches like brake checking and that. Or crash avoidance. It's like they just don't want to differentiate the computer. Just for the showcase stuff. Because Forza Horizon has showcase events, and they're very nice for the most part. Because at one point in the first game, in the first Horizon, they had a Mustang Boss 429 racing against a crop duster. And that explicitly was fun. But that was back when showcases were done differently. So back then, when you done a showcase event, you got to keep the car you were trying, or you're racing with. So it's like, you win the race, you get that Mustang. And it was like, okay, car for free, let's go. But these days it's like, you don't even get that. Horizon 4 was so good with showcases that it's just unfair at this point. Because I remember being blown away on stream with what Horizon was doing, because it's like, Horizon 4 anyway. Because it's like I jump into the hovercraft thing for the first time. And holy crap. I'm like, is that hovercraft going to be in the water? It has to be, right? There's no bloody way we're actually racing side by side with the hovercraft. Boy, was I wrong! It came fleeing down a hill and it landed in front of me. And if you timed your drive right with your vehicle, with your car choice, you could actually get hit by it when it lands. And it's like, what? There was even the Flying Scotsman, which, yeah, it's a steam train, but it's very fucking special. It's a known steam train. Then you had the Halo Warthog. You were being guided by Cortana, and you were driving the Halo Warthog, and you were trying not to die. Like, people... Those quote-unquote reviews are like, yeah, Horizon 5 is the pinnacle. No, Horizon 4 is. And that says something, because Horizon 4 has some of the worst weather mechanics. Because Horizon 4 has full-on changing weather. As opposed to, it's like a small region that changes in 5. So one aspect about 5 that you need to know is the weather system. The weather system's interesting. Because it's like, you can experience different weather systems, weather settings. And they do vary from what you're familiar with. So, one of my biggest gripes about 4 actually did get fixed in 5, and I'm like, that is such a life changer. So in 4, you'd go from snow to spring, summer, and all that stuff. But you'd also have different weather cycles as well. So, one of the things in 4 was the snowy weather. I don't know anyone who liked that. Because the ground was all icy. Like, they actually made the ground icy. And they gave us a fuck ton of snow. That was interesting. It was interesting to look at. But it changed how your car handled. Which wasn't fun. Because every couple of days I'd pop back onto Horizon 4 and it'd be like, oh, there's snow. Oh, here's my depression again. Because then you'd have to put on your snow tires, you'd have to get your car ready for driving in the snow. But in Horizon 5, they fixed it. Like, you get snow, there are snowy parts of Mexico, but it's extremely light, and there's no ice. The snow and Forward Dead, however, lead to one of my most infuriating races, and I am never going to forget that. So with my came one of my weirdest races ever, and it was, I was in a Volkswagen Beetle, and the person in first place, this is a bot race, and the person in first place was in a Morgan three-wheeler. Three-wheel vehicles and ice are not a match. They're not good for one another. That car, I had the foreknowledge of knowing that the car handles like shit. It's very slippery due to its thin tires. And it had a sidecar on it, or it looks like a sidecar. Let me see a picture of it real quick. Morgan three-wheeler. Can I pull one of these up on stream? Yeah, this is a motherfucking thing. Got one wheel in the back, and it looks like it's riding on bicycle tires. Well, that thing took off like an absolute rocket. On ice. With no wheel spin. And it had incredible amounts of grip. And it was taking corners as fast as lightning. It really was. And that happened on stream. You could see that Morgan three-wheeler take off like a rocket. And we were all S-classes at the time as well. So S-class Volkswagen Beetle, which is what I was running, max spec, it was really fast and zippy. Couldn't control it to save my life. And yeah. Not only was I struggling to control my car, but the AI was also struggling to drive as well. Except for the driver of the Morgan three-wheeler. Like I said, they're just programmed to go from A to B. Which is dumb. There's no, like I keep saying, there's no racing logic to it. So if I was in this situation in Horizon, and then I threw my brakes on in front of my opponent, they wouldn't try to slow down. If I suddenly braked in front of them, they wouldn't slow down. They would keep on going. That's an aspect of Horizon. That's an aspect of the franchise that needs to come back. It really does. Like I said, this would be a nightmare if they try to reboot remaster this. Because it has the potential, if it's done well and done faithfully, it has the potential to outsell and directly compete with not only the Motorsport reboot, but also Horizon 5. And people fondly remember Motorsport 4. And it's just so... it's just so bullshit to... It's an insult to the franchise. Like, yeah, the Horizon portion of it meant well, and it actually started off decently. Their level up system for accessing new races is good. Because it's like, okay, you do a bunch of races and then you level up. And then you take on a boss. Because during each race you will have a rival. And with that rival, or at the end of these sets of races with your rival, if you piss them off enough, you can race against them and bop your uncle. You could do a one-on-one with them. And those were fun and added to the spirit of what they're trying to do with Horizon, take it out on the open road. Have a festival where you actually can have a rival that you can take on. But that's no longer the case. You just don't have those things anymore. Let's see how we handle Hockenheim in Germany. Sun setting in Germany. It's also sun setting here as well, which is fun. What is that in front of us? Is it the Porsche? Yeah. Oh, an Alpha. A Fiat or... why? A Fiat in a race? Putting a Fiat in any kind of a race, like trying to take a crippled person to play regular basketball. It just doesn't work. I don't think Fiat has ever done any notable races in their life. Give me your Alpha. Oh, he's got more acceleration than I do. More acceleration. Yeah, he's got more pulling power than I do. So it would make sense that he could do that, because I just saw him pull away. But I do have the lead on him. Hey, right up my ass. If I threw my brakes on in front of him, he would just stop. But like I said before, Horizon's now just solely online focused. That all the good components of the game from games past are just, they're not focused on anymore. They're not a priority to the developers. Which is really saddening because they're isolating people like myself. They just want to drive about and have a good time and just do all these races without the need of fanning about with online. As good of a game as it could have been, it's still heavily online focused, and that's not a good thing. You never ever want to make a game like Forza Horizon be focused on online. You need that split. Like, yeah, if your net goes down, you can still play the game, but it's going to be hard as balls. There's always going to be that one car that can beat the AI and all that. But like, when you get right down to it, that still limits you. Oh, Aaron Rossi's went second now, or he's in third. I don't know how the fuck that's happened. but I'm glad it has. That is such an interesting corner. Because it's like, what speed do you take that at? Yeah, this one will be the last race we do tonight. Because time is just dragging on a bit. And I'm not gonna be. I don't want to keep you here all bloody night. Watch me play Forza. I know some people that might interest, but that's not like. I can't stay talking for all night. It's gonna wear my voice down. Anyway, I'll be talking about a fun little franchise tomorrow. Because we're jumping into Final Fantasy IX tomorrow. And I'm ever so excited for it. I do like me some Final Fantasy IX. I really last played it on PS3. Speaking of remasters that got done badly, Final Fantasy IX. Oh boy. Did they ever cheap out on that one? At least with Final Fantasy X, you think we're made for it. And I'll get onto that in a little bit. God damn it, I'm rage quitting. Whole bag. I know, Final Fantasy IX is a game that got a bit of bad treatment. It got released to mobile and then it was put on console. Got released to PS1, and the source code for it was lost. So yeah, they eventually did have it ported to mobile, which is for mobile at the time it was fine. They used a bit of that upscaling to make the backgrounds prettier and make the character models look sharp, the model textures look sharper. But they also gave the game a new interface, which when it came to putting it on PC, they kept the mobile interface, which was terrible. Because it's like, instead of the traditional menu that you would get in like Final Fantasy IX, it's like big massive blocks, and it's not ideal. It takes up too much screen real estate, for one, and whilst the menu itself is still in line and in theme with the original, it is dog shit. So when it comes to playing classic Final Fantasy, you grab the PS1 version of Final Fantasy VII, and then you grab the PS1 version of Final Fantasy IX, and you have yourself a good time. But like you're playing the original ones, you're playing the best ones. We're playing the best versions of them. Final Fantasy VII, when it came to PC for the first time in '98 by ported by Crystal Dynamics. Yeah, they didn't get the music right, so it was all crappy MIDI synth stuff that required you to have a full-on FM synth to utilize the soundtrack to the best of its abilities, using fucking wavelength tables. So there's that. But no, Forza. over the many years since 2004, 2004, Forza has been a franchise that has seen its peak with this game here. That is peak Forza. And then spun off into Horizon, where the overall formula was changed. Some parts were done well, other parts were not. But then it continued to graphically improve. The car roster kept improving. The amount of races you were able to do and the community itself was growing and growing. But a basic functionality was starting to dwindle and the game just isn't. The game itself really isn't as good as it used to be. Or could be in any way. But no, that's going to be it for now. Tomorrow, I believe it's Final Fantasy 9. Then Friday, Final Fantasy 10. And then, well, the Badlands come back on Friday, so there is a small, tiny, minuscule chance that there may be a Badlands stream on Friday instead of Final Fantasy 10. I don't know yet. They're off enjoying the holiday bops and all that stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you all for watching. And as always, stay safe, take care, and bye.